Oh,
Okay.
I guess it started.
Yeah, it says recording. Okay, so what's up, Matthew? I guess this would be technically, as long as you can save the audio file afterwards, episode 3 of the JottCast
That'll be fun.
with a video this time, so video proof.
Baby steps, and I think with an audio improvement too.
Also, a good book I have not yet to finish. Is this backwards for you? Is it?
No, it's the right way for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never used this before. It's funny. Zoom became like huge during the pandemic, but I never used it because I never had a reason to. Another good book. Anyway, so I guess I'll start this off because I recently read a really good book. You did too, but I'm going to take precedence this time. So,
Hey, go for it.
so I recently read a really good book, The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and it came out in 2006.
7.
Anyway, Cormac McCarthy also wrote No Country for Old Men, which I've watched the movie, and it is excellent, excellent, excellent. So I love this book, and I'm trying to read. Now I'm on about a book a week. So last book I read was where is it? I seriously
on
have.
that real quick while you're looking, I shouldn't be surprised anymore whenever I find out a good movie came from a book.
Yeah, I mean most of them do. I mean most good movies are based off books. So, although I
It's just how the
think
cookie crumbles.
oh geez, speaking of movies, so yeah, that's actually the book I'm on. I don't have it with me now. I'm actually reading a lot of Warhammer 40K, and this last one I read.
I know you're a big 40K guy.
Yeah, you should see the. A friend of mine let me borrow a bunch, and I have about about 11 more books to read of 40K. No, I take that back. I also have another one I haven't read. So huge. I'm surrounded by books right now. Just books everywhere on every subject. It seems like.
Well,
So,
let's get back to The Road because
yeah, sorry. So before we start, The Road is a great book, and I think I may even start doing like a small book review of my own because I don't feel like you're going to read this anytime soon unless you spend $1 at Ed McKay. So
I don't have an Ed McKay.
Yeah, that was a steal. And actually, it's funny. Now I'm rambling. So great book.
What I would like to know, it came out relatively recently, and I know that it won an award. What does it say? What award it won on the cover?
Oprah's Book Club. No, it's not an award.
No way.
That's not even.
I thought it had won an award. Oh yeah,
that's not even. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I ever get published, when I get published, you gotta be positive, bro.
Hey, manifest.
I'd like that's the big word, right? Manifest.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, you liked it so much, and you want me to read it. Give me some highlights. What brings somebody to the book?
So basically, here it is. Basically, it's post-apocalyptic. And people, by the way, you told me that some of the criticism was people says it's too artsy, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And these are people who do not understand the writing style. And I'm not trying to be overly pedantic and I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I know more about this, but his writing style specifically is very, very similar to modernist stream of consciousness, which is a very important mechanic that Faulkner used, and also someone else did. I have Faulkner right here, actually, somewhere. Anyway, and basically it's post-apocalyptic, so it's I can't say the word. Apocalyptic. Post-apocalyptic.
Sometimes I just got to take it one syllable at a time.
So instead of, and one of the things I like about this writing style, if you ever read As I Lie Dying, which you did in school, another one, I don't have it with me, of Sound and Fury by Faulkner, and also Virginia Woolf, which is also another good kind of similar author that uses the same writing style. Anyway, it just throws you inside of it. There's no explanation. There's not a lot of detail. It's just a guy and his son walking down the road with a cart, and he has like memories. And the stream of consciousness thing, what about it is that one of the defining traits of it is like it's just like supposed to be just thought. So there's not a lot of punctuation. There's no quotation marks. There's no chapter breaks. You have like it just kind of breaks off like little dots to kind of separate scenes. It's not completely like if you read Faulkner, there's chapters, but it's just like thought, straight thought, and it's or as I guess Stephen King had said, it's or is any good writing, you go straight down to the consciousness. It's not just a bunch of surface detail.
Yeah.
So there's no explanation of what actually happened. There's kind of hints and stuff, but you're just getting his perspective. And the perspective of a man, it never says their age. It kind of glimpses a little bit of their past. To be honest, it never even says their names. There's nothing. It's just a guy you're just put inside this situation, immediately inside this world that's been completely devastated.
Yeah.
And you're just there. You're right in the middle of it, and you're just following along. And it follows them heading towards the coast. And there are some parts in there. The ending, actually, it's funny. I'm not going to ruin the ending, but the very, very final, like 2 paragraphs, you could say are. It ended. It had a very distinct ending, but the final like 2 paragraphs, the final one especially, is like very just poetic. It makes no sense. Maybe because I'm stupid, but
yeah, I think I would be too.
But
you know what you said that really grabbed me about it?
What's that?
Is that the road doesn't say their names.
Never
because
says.
I have. There's a story in my head that I've always wanted to write, but I never wanted to say the main character's name, and I always grappled with how to deal with that. So maybe I could learn some pointers from the road.
Well, and I'll tell you one thing about this book. So you're basically just following along, and there's details. They explain their surroundings. You basically step by step what they're doing, but there's never any like. It's not overly detailed. It's not like you're reading some fantasy story of where they talk, the explaining every minute detail of the forest when they walk inside of it. Everything's just covered in ash and burnt. So I imagine some kind of nuclear waste, but everything is destroyed. There's nothing, no wildlife, nothing. There's roving. It's like almost like a Mad Max. People are walking around trying to kill each other. People eating each other.
I heard that the author uses the word gray like over 100 times in the book.
He does, and again, he uses. I will admit, there are some words. His vocabulary is not that huge, but there are some words he uses actually to look up. Because again, I'm not a dictionary, and there's a lot of words he was using that I had to double check on. But it was a very fast read. I remember this super fast, like 270 some pages, and I read through it in like a few days. I was just like zooming through it, where I get through like 100 pages a day because it was such an easy read.
Yeah.
But because you're just like playing along in your head. But it's one of the books I've read recently that's given me a it's like an emotional roller coaster, man. Like I seriously was like so many emotions, and I don't usually get like that reading books.
Yeah.
But it made me feel a lot, which is kind of odd to admit to, but
I think that really like attests to that kind of book because it uses, like you're saying, and I've heard other people saying too, it uses very little, but because of that, each individual person can use their own creativity and their own personal experience to make the book more meaningful for themselves.
Yeah, and like he could have easily, and I've read books, like I read a lot of 40K, so there's a lot of stories in there of planets literally being destroyed and wiped out. Yeah. So he could have easily just like started off in detail of the world killing itself, or have a more meaningful relationship with these people that he's meeting on the road, or given names and backstories. But he didn't. He just sits you right in the middle of what's going on. That's why it reminds me of Faulkner, because you sit right in the middle of the action. There's no detail. There's nothing. You get no names. You get nothing. And you're just with these people on their journey. And it's people who said it's too artsy don't understand the style he's using. And I'm not saying that I fully understand it because I'm not an expert, but I will tell you that it's definitely unique. It's not unique because it's been used for a century now, but he's using a very special way of getting you to connect with the characters. And there's really only 2 main characters. There are other people along the way, but no one really knows, never any names given.
Right.
0. Just details. And again, there's no, one thing that got me, there's no quotation marks. There's no question marks. I'm pretty sure at all. Yeah, there is.
Dang.
Yeah, there is. But there's a lot of times it's just periods, very short conversation. Dialogue is extremely short, and you really get the feel for what this man is feeling with his son and what they're going through and how it feels, and it's extremely sad. But again, you go from happy, sad, disgusted. There's some parts I was like literally physically disgusted with what I was reading, not because of what he wasn't going overboard, but the kind of hints he would give you these images of just like it just made me feel disgusted.
Wow.
Kind of the best and worst of humanity. What would happen if this actually were to happen, which it could, what people would be capable of doing.
Whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's insinuated. It's again ash and gray. Everything's burnt. People are really like burnt to the road, just like desiccated people. Yeah, it's again. Yeah. But it never actually says what. And the only thing I can imagine would be like a nuclear war. But I don't know. It might be. I don't know. I have no idea. But that's not the purpose. There's no.
No.
That's not important. What's important is he's diving down to the essence of what this relationship is.
Yeah. Right.
So.
And that reminds me a lot of The Last of Us. Like the overarching story wasn't that important. It was the journey between two characters going on the journey. That's what really made the story a story. Absolutely.
So, again, highly recommend it. If you think it's too artsy, you can't understand it, then,
You know what's a book that is exactly what you just said, but is actually, without a doubt, artsy as hell?
What's that?
It's this book right here. I would reach for it, but I'm only wearing my boxers.
Oh.
So, you remember me talking to you about this book, The Wake?
No.
I read this probably 8 years ago now. I don't know when it came out, but I somehow heard about it before the book came out, and I ordered it, and it had it mailed to me. So I had it the day that it came out on store shelves. It's like set a long time ago back in England.
Wait, is that the one where they like use their language at the time?
That's whenever, yeah. So it's it's still English, but it's written in like different letters.
Oh, dude, it's funny because I remember before I wasn't reading a lot at the time, but it was they were talking about NPR.
Yeah.
And the guy was giving. It's funny you say that because he was talking about it. He was talking to the author of it, and they were like, I don't know, I can't remember what he said now, but they was talking about how it's like English except it's made to feel like you're reading it 1,000 years ago.
And that's the way you feel. There's definitely parts where I had to actually say it out loud to understand it. And then I don't know how long the list is, I don't remember, but there's a decently long list at the back of the book that even if you were to read it out loud, you wouldn't know what it's saying. It was just straight up like, he will never say the word bird. Instead, it's this sound. And that was what was throughout the entire book.
That's pretty funny. I don't know. Would you consider that overly artsy, though? Trying to be, like, go overboard with it?
I remember reading, because this book really impacted me. I really liked it. I remember the author being interviewed, and they asked him probably the most obvious question, which is, why did you write this book in not English? Not any language anymore that exists. And he was like, because I had to.
Oh.
He was like, as he was writing it, it felt disingenuous to write it in English. So he was actually being ripped out of the world he was trying to create. He couldn't create it using English. So he scrapped the book and restarted it with this pseudo language. So funny. I don't know. I think I would call that pretty artsy.
Yeah, it's cool though. It's interesting. I heard about it. I've never read it. So if you want to mail it to, maybe we can mail it to the books. I'll mail you this one.
Let me reread it so I can refresh it. And totally, next time, maybe even not mailing if you're really planning on coming down soon.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We're actually planning a beach trip. Well, yeah, that's a good point. Actually, there's a few books I might give you if I can look around and see what I got. I have a bunch of books. Oh, have you ever read Kurt Vonnegut? Oh, no. Virginia Woolf, awesome. By the way, I got another book of hers I got to read. She's awesome. Kurt Vonnegut again, amazing.
Cat's Cradle.
Yeah, Cat's Cradle. Oh man, I aspire to be like. Actually, no, I aspire. Before we move on from books, one more person I have to talk about, which is my role model. Oh, here it is. I gave you this one too. Oh, hello. Annie Dillard, by the way, is the absolute. She is the pinnacle of what I consider to be. I'm not gonna say she writes fiction, but her nonfiction and her thoughts and what she talks about and the kind of depth she goes to when it talks about life in general is absolutely insane. How a human being could write this stuff blows my mind. So she is definitely my goal. There's another book by her that's even better, but I don't know where it is. But anyway, so that being said, what else do I have? That's it. I have so many books in here, dude.
I know, you're in a tomb of books.
I'm literally this office. Okay, so I have this little office. It's in shambles. But I'm surrounded by books, like hundreds of books in here. It feels like. But oh, here it is. Slaughterhouse-Five. That's a good one too. Yeah, there it is. Kurt Vonnegut, Slaughterhouse-Five, amazing as well.
It's called
Slaughterhouse-Five.
Well, you gotta tell me what that's about.
I'm not gonna go into it too much. I don't want to talk. We probably shouldn't talk about books the entire time because, kind of nerding out on these authors and stuff. But basically, it's got a lot of different stuff to it. It's got one of my favorite phrases too. Basically, he kind of goes over, follows like a main character who is captured during the war. Was it World War II? Yeah, World War II, and they're put in, slaughterhouse number 5. It's the number of the slaughterhouse. Gotcha. But there's so much more that goes on to it. Again, he explores a lot of humanity in this book, and especially in Cat's Cradle, a lot of humanity. And one of the things about this book is funny because he also goes into a guy being like abducted by aliens who can see into the 4th dimension. But
that's powerful.
It's really entertaining. It's like black humor. He's a satirist basically, and it's really funny. It's a good book. It's funny. It's kind of dark, not dark humor. There's no like crazy, but it's like in the book, every time someone dies or something unfortunate happens, he's just like, so it goes. That's what he said. Yeah. Every single time he's just like, so it goes, and it's just like every time something bad happens, I'll just be like, I think about him like, oh, so it goes. That's how it is.
I just read a book that had that too. What
really
was it? Yeah. How do I see? It was. You remember we were talking about Haruki Murakami before?
Yeah.
So there was this book. I'll try to put it up. It's really small, but it's let's see, The Strange Library.
Yes.
It was such a small, or just such a short read, but yeah, there was a character in this book. I can't remember exactly what he says anymore, but he's always like, anytime anything bad would happen, that's the way it is. It was kind of like his thing. It became his thing where no matter what happened, he would just look at the main character and be like, yeah, it's the way it is.
Yeah, and this is literally, yeah, it's really good. Actually, you should read some too. Kurt Vonnegut is amazing. I mean, as far as American literature goes, American writers, he's top tier. Same with Angelo, top tier.
There's so many stories to read.
There's there's infinite, man. I mean, I said I have a whole box over here. I got Spanish, English, Kerouac. Oh man, that's a wild. Anyway, I need to stop. This isn't a. So how about E3?
But
and
before we, oh my god, running gag.
Yeah, here we go.
E3 came and went, but I was almost expecting you to go through all 100 books in your little office there and just list all the names.
Oh, geez. Okay. I can only list the ones I've read. I'm not going to go through the ones I haven't read.
No, I was just joking.
I have of course, a whole lot of religious literature over here, which aren't really religious per se, more like scholarship. Two of the main heretics of the modern church, John Dominic Crossan and Marcus Borg, who were considered by many to be servants of Satan, pretty much. But as far as like historical I know your wife, she's a history buff. As far as historians go, they're in their field, they're the top of the line. And they go through actual history, the Roman history, the church history, and pretty much break it apart to where it's supposed to be, which is where a lot of my ideas come from. But most of my stuff I read recently, I haven't read a lot of nonfiction besides Annie Dillard. I think that's it. I got Game of Thrones and Harry Potter in Spanish. Huh.
Wow. Did you ever read Game of Thrones?
No.
Spanish or
I'm really not a big fan of reading English books in Spanish and vice versa. If I can, I will never read Don Quixote in English. That's a waste. You're really missing out if you're doing that. I like to read it in the original language, so that's a...
Yeah, get it as close to the original source as you can. Because translators, they can't recreate something perfectly.
No, they cannot. And a lot of times you have to...
I mean, you're not even that, but you're not the same person. You don't know what nuance that person was thinking as they were writing.
Exactly. So if I'm not going to read... I have a crunching here. Probably should be eating this stupid snack I'm trying to gnaw on. But yeah, I don't
drink water whenever I can.
Yeah, I usually do. And I first time I had an actual soda, so I was drinking this earlier. But I usually try not to drink too much soda. I don't. It was the first one in a while. So
all my coworkers, man, they're chugging soda constantly.
I mean, I'm trying to avoid drinking calories, but YOLO, right?
YOLO.
So yeah, man. Before I come to the beach, I'll get a little collection of books that you can. Oh, by the way, disclaimer. I know you and I are both Stephen King fans. I've read a lot of his books, but the best so far, in my opinion.
Okay. Bag of Bones.
This is by far, for me personally, my favorite Stephen King book I've ever read.
I did actually rent it. I don't think I ever told you, but I didn't finish it. I didn't get very far. It's. Let me make sure I'm talking about the right book. It's the one where it starts off with a guy and he's tracking someone through the desert.
No.
No? Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, no, I don't know what you're talking about. That's funny.
Oh, man. I thought for sure I had rented the right one.
No, you can have it. This book was cheap. Again, I bought it at Ed McKay. And again, this is a really good example of how good he is at creating characters. Stephen King is a really good writer.
How does that book begin?
A guy, he's a writer, which is why in my book I feel obligated that I need to write at least one book where the main character is a writer. And
every good author ends up writing a book about an author.
Yeah, so that I feel obligated as the one major project I'm on now is the one that I feel very strongly about.
You sent me yesterday?
Part of it, yeah, that's part of the. But anyway, it starts off and his wife basically dies. He has a stroke. Yikes. And he's going through the story. It's really good. It's not it's not too convoluted, but it's really, really, really good. So, and it's funny because as I'm writing my story, I noticed that it's not the same as this, but it does kind of mirrors a little bit of what he was doing in this book, which I don't like to do because I didn't mean to, but it just turned out,
inevitable.
Yeah, you're gonna mimic what you read. So this was amazing. I actually want to reread it. It was so good. Yeah, you need to read this. You need to read this book. I read it. It was 700 some pages.
Sorry.
And I seriously read it a week and a half. I plowed through this thing. I was just I could not put it down. It was too good. So definitely.
Yeah, I like how you have books around you. Obviously, all my books are digital, so I never just look at them and remember what I read.
Oh man, I do. Of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot.
Send me that book.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I have a lot of books. I mean, I don't mind ebooks. Don't get me wrong. I like the convenience of having it on my phone, but I prefer to have paperback. I prefer
to have paperback just because that makes it so I can see it and remember it randomly. Whenever a book is an ebook, give me a week and I'm probably not going to think of it very often. But if I've got books all around me, then I can think about that book whenever I'm just living my normal life.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this desk is. I meant to go in here and put shelves in, but I haven't put any work in this room yet because I haven't been using it much, like I said. But yeah, man, I got a lot of books in here. I just keep adding to my collection, so I have even more out there on a bookshelf. A lot of I've read. Now I'm going to go into. I have a lot of paperbacks, but the more I read, the more I end up buying. So I never ever get caught up in my collection. So that's not a bad thing, right?
I mean, every time I get a book, I end up getting probably 2 or 3 because I just can't stop searching. And then I only end up reading one of those 3 probably in the time that my app gives it to me. And then the other 2 go away. So
yeah, I don't. That's why I don't like that. I don't like that Libby app for that reason. Like I got one book, started reading it, never actually read it, and then they just took it back. I'm like, well, okay, if it's an ebook, why do you have to stand in line and rent it? Can't they just like pass the file out?
They've only got a certain number of licenses.
Oh, well, I guess that makes sense.
Otherwise, they'd be shelling out fat stacks of money.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Though. I mean, I think you go on like Kindle, for example, you can just like Amazon Prime. Which do you have Amazon Prime?
I never talked to my mom about it. I'm going to sound super lame, but I never did. I'm sure she has it, but
I thought you had it though.
No, I never did.
Oh,
sorry.
So yeah, because if you had Amazon Prime or could use someone's Amazon Prime account, we could actually read the same books. Because I know Amazon Prime, I have Kindle Unlimited, which I'm probably gonna have to cancel because I'm not really using it. But some of these you can find like actually on Amazon Prime, and they're like classics on here, like Jane Austen, Jane Eyre, Oscar Wilde.
I mean, it's obviously the ideal situation that we're reading the same thing together.
Hey, look, Communist Manifesto. That's a good one to read.
Why not?
Jeez, yeah, why not, right? Nietzsche, of course. Yeah, so anyway, but we've spent the entire time talking about books.
Well, what else do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, this is our podcast, so I guess. Speaking of,
what?
Actually, no, it's funny. I guess because we usually talk about shows and stuff, and also some book or games and just whatever. Have you watched anything recently that you've enjoyed?
You know what? Let's do the reverse this time. This is episode 3. Let's get wild. I'm going to tell you something I did not enjoy.
What?
And I cannot bring myself to keep watching it. So I'm done. I couldn't even finish the first episode.
What is it?
It is The Golden Compass. Oh, wait. His Dark Materials. Sorry.
Did you like that guy?
I did. And I remember liking the book. But I went on HBO Go to watch His Dark Materials episode 1. So boring. But the thing is now I'm not sure what to believe. Because I went on Libby and The Golden Compass was available, so I downloaded it. And I'm reading it, and I'm thinking to myself, if I didn't know the story that's going to come later, the first part of this is so boring. So I don't know what got me through the first part of the book whenever I was a kid, because today it's like, I guess it's supposed to be interesting, and maybe it's interesting to some people, but it starts off with a little girl hiding in a wardrobe while a really big, important meeting takes place. A bunch of priests and deans and stuff that work in a monastery. But here's the catcher, right? I think this is actually so funny. So not only am I bored, but the main character is also bored. And she's so bored that she falls asleep in that wardrobe. And it's like, okay, how is my hook for this story supposed to be me essentially in a wardrobe creeping in on this meeting that I'm not supposed to be a part of, not supposed to hear. I'm just a little kid, but it's so boring that I fall asleep during it.
Maybe that's what they're supposed to. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I've never read. I know you read it as a kid. I know the movie came out and you were kind of excited to watch it, kind of like with Aragon. Let's not talk about Aragon. I'm not getting riled up.
Let's not talk about Aragon.
I'm not. Don't get me started on Aragon. But please, God, don't even mention it. But
well, you know, The Golden Compass was just as bad of a movie.
Was it? I never watched it. I never watched it.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
You should be happy.
Well, you know, it's funny. Since I never read the book, I might actually think the movie's decent.
You might, but that would mean you have terrible taste.
I mean, that's remained to be seen. But like with Aragon, I watched Aragon and then I read the book and watched it again. And I wanted to like break my TV.
I mean, there's so many things in Aragon that would probably still set you off.
Again, I don't want to talk about it. Even though I keep mentioning it, I don't want to talk about it. It's funny. Look, check it out. I've yet to read it.
What? You still haven't read it? God, man, you gotta read it.
Look, and I actually have Aragon, but it's in Spanish.
Well, you can't read that because it's in Spanish.
I bought it years ago when I first started learning Spanish, and I literally like read the first page, and I was like, I have no idea what they're talking about because I didn't know enough words at the time. But now I can read it now, but I just haven't. Yeah, because I picked this up, and I was like, okay, let's go read through again. It'd been years, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on.
Nope.
No idea what's going on. I remember how Berserker ended. I just don't. I don't know. And
well, you know that's not even the last book.
Yeah. No, they had Aragon, Eldest, Berserker, and Inheritance. There were 4 books.
I forgot about Eldest. I forgot about Eldest.
I thought so. Yeah, I only have those. Do you have those books?
I might. Not in this room, but I got another room, maybe.
Maybe we can make. I mean, I'll make an exchange for sure.
I'm never going to read them again. I purposely was like, "Wow, I'm never reading this again." It's too long. I lived through it once. That's good enough.
Oh man! But Golden Compass, I never watched it. I never read it. I know you liked Golden Compass. You also read a lot of.
You would love it. You would love it. Let me give you a brief rundown.
Please.
It's about a little girl who, it's one of those books where she's special because of her parents, but you don't find out who her parents is much later on. Basically, it's an alternate world. It's still Earth, but it's not Earth. It's a version of Earth where the church has ultimate power.
Sounds like 40K.
They rule the entire world. The only place they do not rule is the Arctic. So, also, this is just a small thing, I guess. Everybody's soul lives outside of them as an animal. But that's not really a big thing of the story. So you can talk to yourself, essentially. You can talk to your own soul, and they can give you advice and stuff like that. So I think that already is probably pretty interesting to you. The world is owned by the church. And then, so that means, this goes back to a really long ago conversation we had, but do you remember talking about our history right now? How mathematicians were executed for trying to resolve what infinity was. So like the creation of calculus is about moving things infinitesimally smaller. So you're moving towards infinity.
Sure. Yeah. You have the masters here. I don't. I know about math enough to.
You don't remember me telling you all this?
Yeah.
Like 8 years ago.
Okay. Well, no, I don't remember all that. I remember we talked about, but see, I thought Newton created calculus, right?
Well, this is the only point I was trying to come up with, and no, Newton didn't.
He did.
Did he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he created calculus.
Maybe he did. Well, shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a book guy, man. I don't know.
Who created calculus?
We'll fact check.
Yeah, Isaac Newton. You're right.
If anybody's a mathematician, please I have no idea. Like I said, I try to avoid topics I don't know about.
Well,
And
the only point I'm trying to make, me either. I'm not trying to sound like I know what I'm talking about either. The only point I'm trying to make is, and I don't even know this for a fact, it's just one of my professors used to say it, is like, as mathematicians were moving towards the idea of infinities, they weren't allowed to do it. So they had to be clever. Because if they talked about infinity openly, the church would execute them. So they had to say that they were moving infinitesimally towards something. And that was enough to make it so that the church left them alone, but they're probably still watching them. Anyway, the whole point is, in this world, in the Golden Compass, if you move towards something they don't want you to know, or something they don't want to believe, then that's grounds for them to execute you.
Dude, that's literally, like, I keep saying literally. I feel like a teenage girl. I keep saying that word. I need to stop saying it.
Well, you know what word I need to stop saying?
What?
Actually.
Actually?
I just
literally?
can't stop saying it.
Well, I keep saying literally, and I'm like, every time I say it, I need to stop saying this word. I sound like it's one of those words people overuse and don't use correctly.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, Warhammer 40K. In the 41st millennium, there's only war. Anyway, the Imperium of Man basically is a giant space. They're like space Catholics, except for a guy who literally exists. Literally, there it is again.
Shit, man.
Ah!
Actually, just keep trying harder.
Ah! He really existed, and basically, they rule everything. The ecclesiarchy runs everything. The entire galaxy of man, the Imperium of Man, is ruled by this concept, and except heretics aren't just like killed. I mean, they're like devastated. They destroy entire planets of people. So
holy cow.
Yeah, just as they say, as the running joke goes, like in Star Wars. You never watched Star Wars, did you?
No. I did watch them, but they were spread out over so many years.
Oh man,
I didn't like them.
Wow.
They were so old.
Let me show you something. You see this right here? You see what this says?
This place is already full of tools, so don't act like one.
You're a tool, man. You're a tool.
For not liking Star Wars?
You're a tool, man. Nah, it's okay. You don't have to like Star Wars.
I could understand the old ones being old because they're old, right? But like the newest ones, I don't even mean the new ones, but even the ones back in the early 2000s, they could have modernized it a little bit. It was so... The very last movie of Star Wars, Episode 9, was so boring.
I never watched it.
Anything.
I watched it. I mean, I heard a lot of bad things about it, but of course, everyone's up in arms about different politics. I haven't had a chance to. I haven't really thought about. I actually haven't thought about it.
You got Disney Plus.
Correct.
All right.
But what I'm saying is,
wait. Hold on to it.
We got all saying okay.
I gotta wrap up this Golden Compass thing.
Oh yeah, we're Golden Compass.
Remember, I'm still trying to tell you that it's perfect for you.
Hell of a podcast.
But while I'm telling you that it's perfect for you, you're running parallel saying, yeah, 40K is perfect for you.
All right. Focus. 40. Okay, Golden Compass.
Here's the next part.
Yeah.
This is the part that the church maybe knows. Got to read to find out. And they don't want the world to know. So maybe they don't know. Who knows? Anyway, if you go to the North Pole, there's the aurora there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is not set in modern day. It's set sometime in the past. So it's still really old cameras where you have to make a chemical emulsion and then flash a light, and then whatever was in front of the camera gets imprinted on the picture using photochemical analysis, basically. So what you can do is, instead of using a normal emulsion, you can use different chemicals, and instead of the camera reacting to light, it reacts to something else. So if you take a photo of the aurora using the special emulsion, then instead of seeing the aurora, instead you see a whole different world. It's like you don't see the whole world. You don't see like a circle. Instead, it's like you're looking through a tear in reality and you're seeing another city, a city that is there in another world. And basically they're saying it's the proof of a multiverse. So that's kind of the whole story, is uncovering what the church even really wants to do. How did they come to be the supreme power of this world? And what's it like in the other worlds in the multiverse?
That sounds really good, actually. That sounds fascinating, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I won.
No. What I'm saying is, okay, so I'm probably wrapping this up soon anyway. But you said that the book was boring, and then you said what you're watching is boring. But knowing all of this, should you at least give it a chance to get good?
That was kind of. We're still getting better at this whole podcast thing, but that was kind of my point. Was like, what I wanted to move this towards is examples of how to start a story incorrectly.
Oh, yeah. You did say that. I remember. I was just testing you, bro. That's all it was.
I mean, you could argue anyway. There's no bad way of starting a story, but I could, there's definitely ways that maybe you shouldn't start it.
I would say it's a spectrum of good, better, best. Let's just say there's good ways, there's better ways, and there's probably the best way, but art is so subjective. I mean, what I consider to be a good beginning, I mean, when I write personally, they say it's in bad taste to start stories. Like, okay, the only time I've ever heard someone say don't start a story this way is when they're talking about the word choice. For example, the cliche we've seen our whole life, it was a dark and stormy night, explaining just like the environment. When I was actually in school, they said that. I'm like, maybe. I mean, I've never really thought about it much since then. I mean, if I opened a book and it said it was a beautiful spring day, I wouldn't close it.
No. I mean, it depends. If it was a paragraph, no. If it was 5 pages, like you're back in the Romance era, maybe.
Oh, God.
But I read stories where it was literally that. It was just going on and on about the environment around the characters for pages.
Yeah, and that's a good example of the road does not do that. Again, that's why I said it's very minimalist. And I don't, there's a certain point where it's just too much. But either starting like that or starting, for me, would just be starting with a page of detail. Like, okay, his name is this, he's this old, he has this job, this. Personally, when I usually start with something more abstract, just kind of a thought, an idea, to kind of get you thinking, and then you kind of lead into it. That's what I usually do. All my stories never start with, like, this is Josh. He is this old. He works this job. He is this. Yeah.
And like, Josh is running through a forest.
Like this book, like talking about the road, it starts off just like, he woke up in the woods, and the night was cold, and he reached out and touched a child sleeping beside him. Oh, Gray! There's Gray right there. Like first thing I see.
Time
but
to start counting.
Yeah, you just literally there it is again. You wake up in the middle of the scene, and a lot of 40K books too. They'll start off like movies. They'll start off with an action sequence to get you hooked, and they'll kind of lead into more of the dialogue and everything else. So. How that's starting, I don't know. I've never read Golden Compass. I don't know how bad it really is. I don't know if your taste can be trusted.
It's probably not that bad. Well, what set me off, the only reason why I even picked up the book again was because the TV show. The movie, I remember being bad. I haven't seen it since then, since 2008, whatever it was. Now, I was like, wow. I was so excited to see the TV show. I was like, yes, they're rebooting this. They're not just letting it die as a movie. They're bringing it back as a TV show. Maybe it'll actually be good because they're not trying to cram everything into just, I don't know, 2 hours. But,
yeah, hold on. My kids. Do you hear that in the background?
Yes.
The kids are yelling out. They had my stairs right above me. well, below above this, and they were like yelling at the stairs at me.
They're yelling to you?
They were. Do you still have chat, by the way? I don't know there's a chat option here.
Hey, look at chat option.
Oh, hey, look, 8, yeah. All right, cool.
Oh.
So, I didn't know this was an option. So, anyway.
So instead of talking to each other, let's just mess.
Yeah, let's just have we should have a podcast where it's just our pictures in like a single document. We'll just like have a chat conversation.
It's never been done before.
Like a Meekle, like some kind of, like a Meekle conversation. Have our pictures on it. Oh yeah, we'll record it like our picture. We'll just be typing in chat to each other. Won't say a word. Just have an entire hour of just conversation. Oh, that sounds so boring.
The occasional laugh.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe I'll read that. I don't know. I haven't really read a lot of teen fiction. Last time I read anything was Brian Redwall series, kind of younger adult fiction. No, that's more like kids fiction, but I haven't read a lot of anything else. But yeah, I think again, I need to read Golden Compass and find out. Maybe you can if you have it, I'll borrow it if you still have it, and I'll read the first.
The thing is, I never had it.
Oh well.
I borrowed it from Chris.
Chris.
Okay.
Wow.
But maybe. Who knows what's in my closet?
Come out of the closet.
I have a ton of books from me being a kid.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm gonna gather some books.
Come down, yeah. Every single book from that closet, and I mean it. Literally, I don't know how many that is, so don't get your hopes up or anything. Every single book I'm cramming into your trunk.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good because I have a bunch of books I want you to read too. I'll give you a few to read. See what you think. We could talk about it.
We could have a Pendragon discussion 15 years too late.
Yeah, Pendragon. I know you used to read Pendragon. You used to talk about that. I used to read. I used to read. I think at that age, I was reading books on like space and stuff. I wasn't really big into fiction, kids fiction, but like you were reading Pendragon and Harry Potter and Golden Compass, Aragon, Series of Unfortunate Events, Ender's Game.
Yeah.
So you read all those. I remember those as kids. So, but yeah, man. So we spent the entire time talking about books and.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I love it. I mean, that's actually, to be honest with you, if you can't tell by my collection and how much I talk about these stories, it's something I feel very passionate about. So,
but on that note, to me, it doesn't matter much the medium. I just want to have a good story.
Yeah, that's why, I've often thought, we've discussed this, is being a writer, maybe we can talk about this next time, is it still a viable option to be an artist these days? And I think about this, and actually it's funny, I'm going to save this for next time. Okay. Because I'm about to probably have to head off in a minute. But the question I'm going to leave you with is, in a world where science and reason is king, and the only way we're going to move off this planet or improve this planet is to improve our understanding of it through, you have a master's in chemistry. I have a associates in arts. So, is being an artist, a writer, painting, stories, actor, is this stuff just a waste of time? Is it a waste of time? Don't discuss it. We could talk about it later on, but is it a waste of time? I'm throwing out my books. None of it is actually pertinent knowledge for any advancement in humanity. Well, a little bit. Like this section over here, you could kind of twist it, be like, well, it's historical, whatever, but majority, all my books are fiction. All my writing is fiction. Is that a waste of time? Should I be instead focusing all my efforts on stuff that's going to benefit humanity? Or should art just be set aside as a hobby and not as something we pursue 100%?
Well, let's not forget this, I guess.
Yeah, it's something I think about a lot, but we'll talk about it next time. But until then, let me know if you can actually, it's our third episode. No one's listening, but if people do, if you decide to listen,
let us know.
Like, comment. If you dislike it, share it with your friends and everyone you can find to make sure they dislike it too, so we can get as much volume as possible.
Yeah, we just want to be hated. Hated or loved, we don't care.
Hate me, please. God, hate me. So if this pings on someone's page, leave a comment. Tell us what you think about whatever stories. JottCast, yeah. The stories, shows, books, ideas you want us to talk about. We'll discuss anything.
We already talk about anything.
Pretty much. Actually, we're pretty much a general, but I think we lean more towards certain topics. But you and I have a general understanding of not understanding, but we know a little bit about a lot of stuff. So maybe we could have obviously not math as apparently that way like I thought we did, calculus and everything. But you took calculus, I didn't. You were the math guy in high school. I failed some math class in 12th grade. It was like as easier than algebra. I still failed it. So
you just didn't have the motivation, but now you do. You talk about how you want to go get a physics degree.
Yeah, sure.
That's calc, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, I think it's time to sign off. Again, comments, likes, anything.
And let's see if this even recorded.
All right. If it didn't record, like and comment anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Watch this anyway.
Watch it anyway. Just think about it really hard. So anyway, good episode 3, Matthew, and we will see you next time on the JottCast.
Actually, I'll see you later. Bye.
See you, man.